6, Patience. This chapter basically has 3 sections. Section 1 is abandoning anger, which is verses 1 through 10. And this is how to purify anger. So this is verse 1. Whatever wholesome deeds, such as venerating the Buddhas and generosity that have been amassed over 1,000 eons, will be destroyed in a moment of anger. Apparently there's some discussion. Some people have said 100 eons, some say 1,000, but it's still really long, and whichever it is, 100 or 1,000, it makes it very hard to liberate if you keep destroying all your virtues in an instant. Our anger is worse than any enemy. Any anger in this life not only can destroy everything that's going on with you in this life, but also can really destroy the happiness that you could have had in future lives. And so this antidote to anger is patience. And I actually had a little bit of a question on this one. If you get angry, but you don't act on it, you don't yell at anybody or do anything about it, you just have that moment of anger, and then it takes a minute maybe or longer, but you don't do anything. Do you still destroy your virtue just because you had it? Or do you have to actually do something that would then destroy the virtue?
Oh, so that's a good question, Mary. That's
I hope you have a good answer.
The commentaries didn't clear up that.
Say it again.
The commentaries that didn't give it the detail, the answer, anything like that. That just says anger, Could be anger means like harm for someone, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just so strong, like hatred for someone, keeping in the mind, really wanted to harm that people when you get a chance. So that kind of anger, I think. Not just a temper, tempers, upside down things.
Yes. That's very easy to have like a flash of anger, even if you don't yell at the person who was so stupid or whatever. So
could be laws like this, like just hatred keeping in the mind really strongly, and when you get chance to want to harm.
Okay.
So then, of course, other is hatred also just no virtuous and disturbing peace and happiness. Just depending, just anger has different levels, right?
Right.
So think that way, maybe. Okay, great, Mary, you did it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So now next verses 2. Debe, please. Debe, Ohio first.
Okay. There is no evil like hatred, and no fortitude like patience. Thus I should strive in various ways to meditate on patience. So this one, this is I think Khenpo that you mentioned that this is a very important verse, that this is kind of going to talk about the whole rest of the patience really is on this, because to hold that hatred in our heart, or to have those flashes of anger, it can cause killing of other beings. It can destroy our happiness, and it can take us to the lower realms. So here it's describing that anger is the worst emotion, and there is nothing like hatred, and that the practice of patience is very powerful. And when we practice patience, it may not be easy, but even though that may seem like a hardship, we can't easily control our anger over our mind. So in order to practice patience, we must put forth a great deal of effort. And in putting forth that effort may feel like a difficulty to bear. But that if we can make that effort and bear through those flashes of anger without reacting, without creating action, then our effort will be well seen in future lives.
Thank you, Debbie. Did a great job. Any questions? Yeah. Then next one.
Oh,
yes.
I'm sorry, just one more thing. These were the words that you had said that we should always bring to mind, because this is kind of like those words that if we could just bring this verse to mind when we have that emotion arise, that it could help us work through our emotion.
Yes. So that's a reminding, and when always like means just when anger arises, emotion comes, we think about these words. Helps release anger, reduce emotion. But practice patience is not easy. So that's why Shantideva has said, like, not easy. So thus I should strive in virtuous way to meditate on patience. I have to put effort. Yeah. So we need more sacrifice, like practice patience. Let go. Some other people must be winner temporarily. Because so strong selfish, self-grasping, not easy to, let go, right? Not easy to accept. Not easy to, like, we are samsaric things loser. So practice patience means we have to be loser, like samsaric things, many things.
Or skillful means too. It allows us to open up to wisdom, which provides us with skillful means. When we don't have the emotion anger, then we can actually think of proper solutions without that emotion behind it. And then it's very clear, and there's a lot of clarity. And then people can hear you when you're speaking.
Okay, so that's good. So that's why Shantideva says, whereas as ways, we have used so many different kind of method. Practice patience. No easy one. That's why it's like, he says, this is the Tibetan is called katop, means like it's hardship, very hardship. Put effort, difficulty to practice the patience. Yeah, do you agree that? I'm agreed. Because we have so strong selfish, not easy to let go. And just everything wanted to, argue. Holding. Okay, so now next one then. Third, Thomas, please.
Yes, Khenpo. My mind will not experience peace if it fosters painful thoughts of hatred. I shall not find no joy or happiness. Unable to sleep, I shall feel unsettled. No happiness, no joy because of anger, because of thoughts of hatred. If you allow your mind to fixate on that, there will be no sleep, no comfort, always miserable, and never peace.
Agreed?
100%.
Yeah, sometimes like our mind is like really angry with someone. It's even not really angry, but just not happy. Then that also, harder to go sleep, and the thoughts comes all the time again, right?
Constantly, that emotion never stops.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who has this problem? I say yes, yes. Aminta, you don't have problem?
Yes, I do. Khenpo.
Some people really calm and they're just whatever the people says, they don't care much, you know, like not really disturbing. Some people have like that. Just depending, right? Some so sensitive and some like people mind is so speed, like more thoughts, sensitivity, emotion easy to arise. So then it's like some object enemies easily affected. So more problem than just holding the hatred in our mind. The problem is actually small, but then just we holding the anger is mind is more worse than that. You see that, or do you think so? See, sometimes like some situations make me unhappy, upset, but then situation is actually let go is like nothing big there. But then holding anger that makes more difficulty, right? Cannot sleep and not happy and wanted to really just say something, right? Cannot easily control the mind. Okay, so everyone agree that. Then we go to the third. Oh, fourth, I think fourth. Fourth, EDG, can you read the fourth?
You're muted, Ed.
Okay, sorry. I'm okay now. All right. A master who has hatred is in danger of being killed, even by those who for their wealth and happiness depend upon his kindness. So the message that comes out to me is no matter how nice you are and how much you provide for others, if you carry hatred, you can be in extreme danger from the same folks, from those same people. And let's see, what did I write down? And so your anger definitely affects those that rely on you, and therefore they could injure you or kill you because of that.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to mention earlier was this morning, you know, I was out driving after our lesson. Driving makes a lot of people angry, and I realized today that I'm recognizing anger a little bit more than I had previously. And so recognition of your anger is really the first step, I think.
Yes, yes.
So anyway, just had to mention that. Thank you.
So that's good, you recognize. Usually we don't recognize problems. Yes, Sandra?
I had a question about this one. Is it saying that if you have hatred, the master who has hatred, just if you have it inside, but you're not, or is it saying that you have hatred and you treat the people who rely on you badly? Sometimes you give them things and sometimes you treat them badly. Then you're in danger of being killed. Or are they going to, is it karmic? Like if you have hatred and even if you don't do anything bad to these people, you're still in danger because of the karmic causes you're creating.
No, that's not reason only this one. So I know like some people this kind of, you know, that bring to exactly my mind. When I read this one, like always think about that people's. Some is like really, even the teachers or something, you know, like parents, family, or their kids or many things rely on them, right? But see, father has so strong anger, and all the wife, kids, maybe many things rely on him. But father is so always angered, like his kids can care him because the reason is doesn't like, his the kids doesn't like. So also some teachers, like some ways nice because it's a good way, kind of talk good, but then due to the some is short temper, anger, and showing that all the time students, they are not happy and they can be care the teacher. So
When
then
you talk about
in company job, company who's company boss.
Yeah.
The person is a temper and all the time anger, but sometimes like okay good, but he generosity giving things, but his temper angers all the time showing for the co-workers. Co-workers are unhappy and can be cared, get cared, So that means anger's problem. So the main point is if you have other qualities, but as long as you have a strong anger, then that you other qualities doesn't help you protection. Your anger is so strong. The negative is destroy all the other qualities. Even you help others, but they don't like you anyway. Because due to his emotions, angers. So as many people like that is so some is like temper and anger. It's the really, really strong emotion and anger. Like then the family really scared all the time. Yeah. They don't know when he going to throw away, But
Yeah.
the person is not really anger, they're nice to them. But anyway, they're just no peaceful, no happy, and so they're just things not comfortable, and then due to that way, and the kids kill the parents too, father, like many countries happening that.
But even if they don't kill them, they've really made their children's life terrible because the kid
Yeah.
never knows whether they're going to come home to a monster or a father or a mother, they don't know what they're going to get. So it's really, and if you are somebody who is in a position of authority, you can really destroy people underneath you with a quick word, and it's really hard to control that sometimes.
Very hard, yeah. Long time ago, I was Malaysian. So one family asked me to do puja, so the lady, mother, and I went to her house. So she said her husband is really terrible. So he also wanted to do puja, but she said, like when he comes home, just going to destroy sometimes, throw away. So I did a puja in the yard, and he comes job and come back to home, and he went in the house, he yelling and throw everything, like just then go away. It's like that kind of family is so hard. The wife she's nervous, scared, all the time. So even he just actually other everything he provided, but like his temper makes like terrible his home, and he wanted to do good puja, asked her to his wife to invite a lama. But when Lama is there, he cannot control his anger. I don't know, somewhere he come back, is so anger. See, then he just went in home. It's so much like he things like, I think it's broken, some things, like lots of nausea going on. I don't see, there are no way to inside there what he going on. But anyway, he went right away, dive through, he get in the car, go away, I don't know, somewhere. So like that, they are so nervous, scared.
So how do you help a person in like that?
That kind of person can have, if listening this kind of teaching, right? But they're dependent, some really wanted to know something, solution, then we can share this teaching. Puja really cannot change their mind. Create some connections, but not really easy, but they have to study this one. That's Buddha said. And so the person like really wanted to know something, solution, so we can share this kind of a patient teaching.
Khenpo.
Bring these teachings to their mind, and then maybe help for them, really can help them. This is a Dharma, really. Dharma means Buddhist Dharma. Dharma is not just only temples, statues, like auto things. That's create accumulation merit, but not really going to transform to mind, not really going to reduce emotions.
Khenpo,
Yes.
may I say something?
Yeah.
Because my family had to deal with anger a lot. So when my father came home when I was small, I was the oldest of the family. All my brother and sister hide underneath the bed because they were so afraid of my father. And I'm the oldest one, so I have to open the door for him. And so we had to deal with that for our whole life. And then when we grew up, I found out some situation really make me really angry. And it's very interesting. It's I always face when I realized I was so thankful for the mindfulness practice. The teacher teaches us just breathing in and breathing out and just watch the anger and say, my friend, anger, I want to know you. I want to know you. And I practiced for a few years about this situation. And I always found out that really a lot of my anger trigger reminded something, make me reminded of my father. He's very bully and he's very a coward in some way. And he will throw firecracker on the street in Chinese New Year. And when the police came up to look for people, and he didn't allow me to open the door because he was the one who threw the firecracker on the street. And he can hurt people, but he didn't care. So to me, when I understand my own anger inside me so deeply, and I suddenly realized that only when I can really solve my own problem, and I have to really use mindfulness. Whenever I was angry, I'm really happy. I say, now I can do it. Now I have to practice. I have to solve that problem. So until I really face it, investigate it, and finally understand anger is not me. It's just one part of emotion. And I don't have to own the anger. I don't have the anger is not me. And I am me, and the anger is just one part of my life. And I can disregard it, and I can let go of it. Then it was okay. And the more I practice with the mindfulness, the more I understand it. And I really think that anger, other people cannot control you. Only you can control your own anger. And the other way is have to say that the people getting anger because I took abuse class because I was a social worker for a while. So I got my master's degree in social work. And our teacher say that, do you know why people abuse? Because they can get away with it. So if people are really angry and always do something destructive, putting away, being patient is not always the best way. not always the best way. The best way is make him know that he cannot get away from it. Then he might at least try to control himself a little bit. I'm sorry. This is really deep to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lomin, you sharing. Okay, now we go to the 5. 5 is. Can you read the 5, please? Sandra.
By it, friends and relatives are disheartened. Though drawn by my generosity, they will not trust me. In brief, there is nobody who lives happily with anger. I think, this really connects to 4. I think that being around someone who's so volatile really destroys your trust, your sense of safety with them. And I don't know, there's so much to say around this topic. I think, I've had this experience where I've been, angry, and my husband, especially when we were first married, would not respond in anger. He just isn't, he's very much in control of his anger. And it was so helpful. Like, he did not add to the situation by becoming angry. And instead, I could see myself, it was just like, because he was still and quiet, I could see myself. And, it helped me come out of it. It's helped me a lot over the years. So to some degree, I think it can be a remedy, but I understand what Layman said, it doesn't always work, especially if you're like a child. Like, it depends on the circumstance, And the other thing I guess I wanted to say, there's so many things, I wanted to say, if anyone saw Ruth Bader Ginsburg's documentary, there's this one place where she said early on she learned that anger was self-defeating. And she just totally gave it up, because of her work. She worked for justice, so there was injustice all over, and she didn't let it make her angry. She worked really hard to find a way to make people come to see her point of view. It's really, really skillful. I wish I could take classes in that, really. And also I was wondering is if you can memorize Shantideva's stanzas and then recite them to yourself, do you think you're kind of calling Shantideva to help you? Or are you just doing it yourself? What do you think?
What do you think? You mean the chant, this one, Shantideva have us, you mean?
Yeah, like verse number 2. If you can memorize verse number 2 and you call that to mind, yes, you're helping yourself remember, but maybe you get strength too, from, I don't know, this is a dualistic point of view to think that Shantideva is somewhere else, but, maybe you get some help from him. I don't know.
So that's cultivate, ourselves. Then we must be same as Shantideva, right? No us to have him. We must be same as Shantideva. Recognize anger and problem. So yes. Okay. So thank you, Sandra. Anyone has a comment to that? 5. Everyone okay? Yeah. Easy, right? 5 is easy or no? Of course, like we practice hard anyway.
I really appreciate Sandra's comment on how her husband reacted with his patients. So that sort of relates to, that was sort of the answer to a hidden question that I had was, since we're talking about Bodhisattva, the way of the Bodhisattva here, I'm looking at it in reverse and saying, all right, I know how to take care of my anger by practicing patience, but how does patience really help someone else? So anyway, so that was really helpful. So it works in reverse also. If you can tolerate pain and beatings and whatever, and not really react, you're not adding fuel to the fire, I think. And I think a person that's angry would eventually realize, hey, this ain't doing anything. Anyway, I just had to make that comment.
Okay, then we go to number 6. Number 6, Aminda, please.
Hence, the enemy, anger, creates suffering such as these. But whoever assiduously overcomes it finds happiness now and hereafter. So I thought this verse was really joyful. Seems like a lot of these verses just seems like you can think, oh, rejoice after it because there's this antidote. So anger will always bring suffering for all beings, and that's why we must practice patience, the antidote to overcome the anger. So if you practice patience, then it will bring you happiness in this life and all future lives. So you have to use mindful alertness and patience to overcome the anger. And patience is the source of all happiness, where anger is the source of all suffering.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so then Alita, next one, Alita.
Okay. Having found its fuel of mental unhappiness in the prevention of what I wish for, and in the doing of what I do not want, hatred increases and then destroys me. So it's what you were saying before. If you have hateful thoughts in your mind, and if you allow them to exist, they will perpetuate. They will increase, and then you have these explosions of anger that cause unhappiness for yourself and for other people around you. Having found its fuel of mental unhappiness. So fuel, it's like gas. Thoughts of hatred in your mind, if you allow them to be there, will grow. And so I guess the antidote is, this is where meditation is so important, because it allows you to release your feelings of hatred and anger towards others.
Thank you, Alita. Anyone has any comments? Great.
Oh, Khenpo, this is David.
Yes, sir.
Here in that one, normally they say that maintain your expectation low. That way you try to avoid to get unhappy. I don't know if it's related, but sometimes they said try to maintain your expectations about things low, and that way you don't get unhappy so easy. I don't know, but I listen to that also. I don't know if it's related, but that way you avoid to have this mental unhappiness or the fuel. The fuel. It's just a comment.
So what means Mary? Mary get...
David was saying, correct me if I'm wrong, David. I think David was saying that if you don't expect a lot of things from this, somebody is like giving you a hard time or whatever, but you don't have high expectations that they are going to bring you happiness or anything like that, then it's easier for you.
Yes.
It's easier for you if you don't have these thoughts that great things are going to come because you have this job or because you have this or that or the other. It kind of lowers what you want back from people, what you expect back from people.
Yes, it's so low.
Is that,
You mean the main one?
is that what you think, David? Or is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, expectation is then helps like not like release anger. You mean the less anger comes, right? You mean?
Yes, yes. You give without expecting anything. You try to be calm. You do your job without expecting, too much.
That's I think is happening in the companies, right? You know,
Yes.
your office.
That's daily.
Both expectation you lost, but then you don't correctly. Then he upset you, right?
Yeah.
Not that much expectation. You is like then he not going to upset. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not only me. Also our bosses, our workers. Yeah. The expectation too high sometimes. People doesn't deliver, and then
Right.
happy people around the working place. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good place to practice daily. Normally. Thank you.
Then we go to next one.
Excuse me, I have just one question.
Yes.
Number 7, can that be used towards collective unhappiness of like creating wars and conflict, such as in the Middle East, irretractable wars, or in South America with dictatorships? Could that verse be particularly helpful in talking about how hatred increases?
Can you say again, Gary?
Could that verse be applied to larger conflicts of people in wars, where hatred increases because of people battling each other?
Yeah.
Their own ideals.
Yes. Yeah. See, we see there's so many in the world going on. So politicians and this kind of things like or it's become create anger, hatred, right? So then pointing each other, telling each other. So that's say like I'm not wrong, you wrong. Actually, that means actually both wrong. No one is correct. So that's the problem. And then that's create all these problems and the doing what I do not want. So hatred increase and then destroys me. Yeah. Destroys this. Then country destroys each other.
So is this like people forcing others to do things? Is that what this one means? Preventing what I want to do and in doing what I don't want to do? Somebody's making me do things I don't want to do, makes me, just fuels my anger? Is that what that?
No, you want to have something, you want to do something, the others stop you that. Right?
Right,
Or
they stop you, but they're making you do something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Is that?
If you don't want suffering, they give you suffering, right? If you wanted to do something get successful, they stop you that. You know what you want, they stop that kind of, just many things. This is just an example, like one couple of words, but it's so many situations actually inside there. So which one give you like become arise like hatred, anger, emotion, right? Everything that causes it. Yeah, so that we can follow to like think about the business people, politicians, and it's then and the co-workers, each other, everything. So many diversity situations increasing this anger, hatred at each other.
I have a question. Is it like when Marpa told Milarepa to build a tower and then destroy the tower and put all the rocks back into where he found them, and he did it how many times? And then Milarepa kind of
that is no
explode.
anger. That is the best on the wisdom and the compassion.
Well, later he realized that, but when he was building it and disassembling it, I don't know if he felt, yeah, this is a good lesson.
Also knows like that's a he has a strong devotion, you know, the guru. So that's why whatever guru says, he thinks that there's something truth.
Yeah.
Marpa Loza is no anger, so his compassion, his wisdom, you know.
Yes, later we learned that it was on purpose, yes. But I have a good example. I think I have a better example, and I heard it from a monk, and he's actually a Theravada monk, and a Western monk who was practicing in Thailand with Ajahn Chah. And they were in the forest, in a jungle, with heat and mosquitoes, and 1 meal a day. And one day Ajahn Chah told the monks to move, I don't know how many tons of dirt from one place to another, because he had some kind of project in mind. It took them 3 days to move all the soil in heat, and they were sweaty and hungry and exhausted, but they moved all the dirt to the new place. In the meantime, another monk took charge because Ajahn Chah took off for a trip. So in the meantime, someone else stepped in and was in charge. And this monk said that this dirt is in the wrong place, that he wants all this dirt to move back to where it was. So it took them another 3 days to move the dirt from one spot to the original spot. After 3 days, Ajahn Chah came back and he said, this is not what I told you to do. You were supposed to move the dirt where I had told you to. So this is the third time they were moving dirt to the place. At this point, this Western monk was really, really angry. Until another monk gave him advice. Moving dirt is easy. Thinking about it is hard. That's it. End of story.
Okay, so that checking his patient, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the same test that Marpa gave Milarepa.
No, that's Marpa knows what they have to do. The Malarepa. This other one, just people checking each other. They really don't know what is result comes. You know. It's totally different. Who has clairvoyance and who has wisdom, the seeing is different. Marpa Losa didn't do everyone that. So he knows which person needed to take care that carry that kind of difficulty through hardship. So he see the result what going on. So he not going to push everyone. So we are ignorant, like we does like that for everyone test. Maybe like no one pass, you know. So maybe some pass, we don't know. That's always become try. We say we try best, our best. giving something different method to kicking, participation. But Marpa Losa, his case is he knows what going result. Different. Okay. So now next is where we are right now. We talk lots of conversation there. Ed, right? Ed. Okay, Ed. Ed is Jez Carpenter. Can you read?
Sorry, Khenpo, did you say
Yes,
Jill?
yes.
Oh,
yes.
yes. Just one moment. I have to switch screens. I think we're at verse 8.
Yes.
Therefore, I should totally eradicate the fuel of this enemy, for this enemy has no other function than that of causing me harm. And I think that the fuel of the energy is the mental unhappiness, which we see in verse 7. And the mental unhappiness we can vanquish when we have patience, and when we have mindfulness, we work on the patience. And it allows the mental unhappiness to disappear. And then that allows us skillful means, and we are not as affected by the unhappiness or the anger. And we achieve, I think, maybe peacefulness. It's like the highest happiness is peacefulness.
Yes.
With knowledge of suffering as well, and compassion for it. But mental unhappiness says there never should be unhappiness, and is disappointed with things, and sometimes goes kaboom to anger because things are other than I wish for them to be. And I also think peacefulness or mental unhappiness is, when I'm peaceful, I can also be sad, and that is okay. When I'm angry, I might actually be really sad because someone did something terrible, and so I get angry. So I think the fuel is the problem, the fuel of mental unhappiness. If I can work on that with my patience, I am unlikely to get angry.
So you're talking about this in 8, right? 8.
8, yes.
Okay, so that was the number you want. Okay.
Is it the wrong one?
No, it's 8. It's like, therefore I should totally eradicate, right?
The fuel of this enemy, yeah.
You of this enemy, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the fuel of the enemy is the mental unhappiness.
Right.
And the enemy has no other reason. It's just to cause me harm.
Yes. Yeah.
My job is patience.
Yes. So it's enemy is anger. Hatred, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So anyone has any comments? Everyone okay? That's great. So now we go to Tom Wazer. Please, can you read the 9?
Whatever befalls me, I shall not disturb my mental joy. For having been made unhappy, I shall not accomplish what I wish, and my virtues will decline. Well, we're talking about something that we perceive as somebody harshing our chill, to coin a phrase. So, I mean, it happens potentially quite a bit of the time. And there's really no point to letting it disturb mental joy, or even if not necessarily even joy. If it disturbs your mind stream, you're giving into something that really will have no good fruit to it. So there's really no point in letting it disturb your mental joy, or however you like to call what your mental joy is. For having been made unhappy, I shall not accomplish what I wish, and my virtues will decline. Well, so if you give into the anger, it would tend to unbalance whatever you're trying to accomplish. And also, it also has the negative effect of reducing your virtues or your good karma. So no one wins at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great. So anyone has a comment? No, right? Everyone okay?
I'm struggling with how do you hold on to your joy when you're in an angry situation? I don't know what to say about that. How do you maintain your joy in an angry situation?
Oh, so shouldn't you mean the whatever we first me? I should not disturb my mental joy. Just they don't arise the anger in the mind, and recognize anger is coming. They're not let into the mind. So
How could we use the word for not disturb my mental joy, depression, instead of anger as well? Because whatever befalls me, look, we were in a bad situation. It doesn't make sense to get depressed about it or unhappy, and it won't help us solve the problem. And then I think anger comes after the depression, maybe, because you're frustrated.
oh, anger is come after the depression, you mean?
Well, I think when they say mental joy, to me, I think of depression in modern society, Western society. People get very depressed, especially with COVID. So that's a very predominant thing. Sometimes they get angry, but first they get depressed, I think.
So, okay, this one is maybe that time is during the Shantideva time, not really many people has depressions.
Yeah, well,
depression is more is lonely and no friends, no families together, so many things going on. So lose jobs like that kind, But this mental joy is actually generally your mind is no peace and no any hatred with others. Just you are, easy going, mentally joying, right? So that's it. We don't have to think about more than that. And then when anger comes, you lose your control. So whatever you have like kind of easy going joy feeling, that is gone. And Shantideva just said, don't let anger arise in the mind.
Okay, I understand.
If anger is arise in the mind, then you're just what you have peacefully. Your mind is joy, they're all gone. Okay, good. Good. So you read the next one then. 10.
Okay, 10.
Yes.
Why be unhappy about something if it can be remedied? And what is the use of being unhappy about something if it cannot be remedied? Well, it's like saying, why worry unless you can fix it, right? Something like that. That would be a modern way of looking at it. Worry if you can do something, if worrying will really help you solve the problem. But if you really can't, why worry? Just be in the moment, right? And try to be happy. Maybe other people have some ideas too.
This one is a great word. Tibetan is very good, but I don't know the English translator. What do you think?
I add something.
Yes.
Well, this morning I think you commented with the Dalai Lama said something. I forget what your comment was exactly, but there's something else that he says. I guess he says a lot, but anyway, I've remembered it for a long time. Seems like he said that if there's a problem, if there's a solution to a problem, then there's no problem. If there's no solution to a problem, then there's still no problem.
That's it. That's great. Yes. I like that. That kind of explain the words, you're saying like in here is what you say. That is much better.
Thank you. Yes, that's excellent.
Tibetan words is match. You're saying is.
Long live the Dalai Lama.
Mm.
Can you say that again, Tom?
Sure. I could say it over and over again. If there's a solution to a problem, then there is no problem. If there's no solution to a problem, then there's still no problem.
Okay, that's good.
I think it also, the original verse from Shantideva, I think there's a little piece in there that tells you too that don't waste your time being unhappy if there is a solution, that it's a call to action, that you must act. Don't go down the wrong path of unhappiness when meanwhile the right path is right there, that you must take action.
Yes. Yeah. If they have a solution, yes, then we have to use the solution, not just unhappy, right? Yeah.
I think that's a very good point. And I think to some of the other points that were made earlier, when we talk about patience, it can mean taking action if there is a solution. So when people in the West particularly talk about abusive situations, patient doesn't mean just standing by and taking abuse, but it means not holding that hatred and anger in your heart, but then taking action just to release yourself from that situation. So I think that we have to take care, and just saying, well, we're going to stand by and allow whatever to happen. We're just not going to hold it in our hearts as hatred and anger, but this is a call to action.
Mm. Okay.
Is
great.
that correct, Khenpo?
Yes. Wonderful. Okay. So then next one, 11. Yeah. We finish. Yeah. This 10 is finished. 10 is everyone great. Yeah. So Tom he did a really good explain. Debbie, can you do the Debbie Connor? Can you do the 10? 11, sorry, 11.
Sure, let me bring this closer.
11 is the hardest one actually, more harder.
11 is, for myself and for my friends, I want no suffering, no disrespect, no harsh words, and nothing unpleasant. But for my enemies, it's the opposite. And well, it's very human. As a species, we originally lived in small family groups. And so if things are fine, everybody's happy. If not, you'll start fighting among people. And you said something interesting this morning. You said our side. So you start with yourself, and you want to protect yourself. And then that immediately spreads around to the people you know who are closest to you, because you have the empathy and you want to protect them. So the things you don't want to happen to you, you don't want to happen to the people around you. However, that's where empathy very often ends. If if we have enemies, people we don't like, we're like, oh yeah, you're having a bad time, that's great. Your mother died, that's fantastic. So we don't, we're taking those people and turning them into kind of objects. And I think it's, there's a German word, Schadenfreude, that specifically means enjoying when somebody else is unhappy. I think that's a very human thing to do. And I think we really, and so, like if something bad happens to somebody and you hear it, you instantly are like, oh, that's great. And then you have to tell your mind, no, it's a horrible way to think about something. Even if I don't like this person, they shouldn't suffer. So I think it's pretty profound.
Good. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah,
Does that point towards equanimity? When
Yes, we have to practice economity, four measurables, and that helps, like, preventing anger or stop the anger. Hatred, but the problem is we are attached to so much our side, then hatred to others.
in the Bardo Todrol, we're told not to be repelled or attracted, to keep a clear, light mind. So is that equanimity then in that state upon death, when we're in the between state?
Can you say again, Pardo?
Okay. In the Bardo Todrol, they say not to be attracted or repelled by things. So is that in the in-between state equanimity? Is that the same as equanimity, so that we can just realize the clear light and rest in the clear light mind?
I'm not sure. I don't remember Pardo Tidor's. Just the maybe that one talking about the natural mind, right?
Yes, and on the step.
Here is talking about all is a relative truth, and dealing with this, our friends, relatives, and other beings. How to reduce our emotions, how to create love for others. But this one main point is, where is the anger come from? Cause. What is the causes of anger? Is where is it come from? Because attached to our side, then hatred to others. So that's bring the anger.
Thank you.
Okay, so then Navin Hata, can you read the next one?
Yes, Khenpo.
Thank you.
11?
12.
Oh, 12, sorry. The causes of happiness sometimes occur, but the causes for suffering are very many. Without suffering, there is no renunciation. Therefore, mind, you should stand firm. I think it's saying that it's more rare to have the causes of happiness than suffering. And there's so many causes, and without suffering, there is no renunciation. I'm not sure what this part is saying, though. Therefore, mind, you should stand firm.
Okay, so the first one you understand, right? The cause of happiness sometimes occur. So it's not so many causes of happiness, but the causes for suffering are very many. You get that, yeah? We have so many causes of suffering. Then without the suffering, there is no renunciation. Actually, suffering really help for us for practice Dharma. Without the suffering, no one going to become practitioner. No one wanted to practice Dharma, and the suffering is a good teacher. So suffering is actually great. Therefore, man, you should stand firm. Means I think it's like you have to stay very strong, and your mind have to recognize that and stay strong. And suffering, we have to use the suffering, and usually we say take into the path. Okay, thank you, Navinata.
Thank you.
So that is a great words too. We have to think about this one often, when we get suffering. So we actually learning something, when we get difficulty something, we get more experience. So during that time it's hard, but we finish that, then we think, oh, that's great because I learned so much something, right?
Yes, Khenpo. Khenpo, my father used to tell me, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
Yes, exactly.
And
So really make strong. I can say that, it's whereas that very difficult area, people are very strong because they do go through many difficulties. Then whereas like easygoing places, like people are not strong.
It's like the difference between wild food and cultivated food.
What is wild food?
If you go foraging for wild food, it has lots of nutrition and it gives your body lots of strength.
Okay.
And things that are grown commercially, not as much.
Yeah.
I think you still have to work hard though if you have a lot of suffering in your life, in order to renunciate the grasping, because some people have much suffering and they get more and more anger and bitter and closed and pass the suffering to others, right?
Yes.
And other people make a different decision.
Yeah, I think when we get suffering, the same time we need something good instructions.
Yes.
Something good support, then we can change. Otherwise, it's get easily affected the wrong way. Yeah, see, the people think about it, who don't have a dharma, they cannot bear the suffering. They take the life. The who has practiced the dharma, their use that is like become practitioners. So big transaction place, suffering is. Okay. So that is we can just see the Gachen Rinpoche's biography stories like easily know exactly this one, It's that time is like who don't know the Dharma, that people just suicide themselves. Who know the Dharma, they are become practitioner, and they are become realization. So suffering can be suffering can be teacher. So depending which condition you have. If you have a dharma, then you can suffering is become teacher. If no dharma, then suffering is a suffering, right? Okay, so now next measure. Dimilu, are you there? I think she cannot hear. Alice one.
Hi.
Can you read the 13?
I need to find. I don't have the text, so.
Oh, you don't have text.
I can
One
read
sec.
Khenpo. I can read it. Oh, let me just find the text here.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find.
Here, go ahead.
Sorry, what?
13. Where says 13?
Verse 13. What page is verse 13? Are we?
I don't know. I don't have page number.
It's chapter 6, if that helps.
Oh yeah, 56. Oh, thank you. Testing patience right now. Thank you guys.
Yeah, you give us good patience.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Page 56, number 13.
Yes.
For me, it's page 46. So if you don't find it, try 46.
Because it's on my phone, and I'm trying to find it on my phone. Oh, okay, I got it. Thank you for your patience. Number 13.
Yes.
If some ascetics and the people of Karmapa, it says Karnapa.
Karnapa.
Is it Karnapa?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Of Karnapa, endure the pain of cuts and burns for no reason. Then for the sake of liberation, why have I no courage?
Okay, can you explain?
Yeah. No. I think what it means is samsara, suffering.
Okay,
suffering takes a lot of endurance, or the path to liberation takes a lot of endurance.
Are you
if one
in the morning?
Pardon me?
Are you in the teaching in the morning? Do you?
No, I'm not in the morning teaching.
Okay, so that's why it's harder to explain, harder to understand this meaning.
No, I understand it, but I'm not good at saying it out loud.
Okay, so I call you then.
Yeah.
Something. Okay, this is hardest to explain for you if you are not in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now we, Lisa, can you read 13 and explain?
13 again?
Yes.
Oh, okay. If some ascetics and the people of Karnapa endure the pain of cuts and burns for no reason, then for the sake of liberation, why have I no courage? So the ascetics refer to some students from Krishna, and the Karnapa, I'm not sure what students from another religion, and they used to cut their bodies.
In other group religion, yes.
Yes, they used to cut their bodies, and the Buddha said this is wrong because their actions have no benefit. So he is asking himself a question. So to endure suffering for the sake of liberation, why have I no courage? That's how I understand.
Yes, did good, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, can I please add something about what we were talking about? Because this chapter is so important to me as it is to everybody. But I just wanted to say, because something very related to what we were saying, because my father was a very angry person. And as a child, of course, I don't understand why. But when I got older, I never hated my father. I loved him very, very much. When I got older, I found out that he had to go to the Korea and fight in the war. And he had to kill people. And my father had a really good heart deep down inside. But the war destroyed his everything in him. So he couldn't help not to be angry. He couldn't help it. And so when I found the Bodhisattva Avatar, when I was a young person, I found it and I realized if my father had this teaching, he would have had a life worth living. But because he didn't have this teaching, he spent his whole life an angry person. So that's how important this teaching is. And my father didn't understand the mind of a bodhisattva, how that might help you endure such a horrible experience as being sent to Korea and told that you have to kill people. He could never understand why somebody made him do that, and it destroyed him. So that's why this teaching is so powerful, and we're so lucky anybody who has it. That's just my experience.
Thank you. Okay. So
In the modern context, Hinduism and other religions have spirit possession and trance to show that they are immune to pain. And it's a form of being embodied by the gods. So that happens in Islam and in Hinduism, in many different cults, the brotherhoods in informal Islam. And I studied this for many years in North Africa, these cults, for my PhD. So anyway, it's a very widespread practice, and it's done by the Shiites as well, enduring the self-flagellation for Ali. But many parts of the world have had spirit possession and trance and harming the body. But they're trying to be transcendent. They walk on coals, they can do all sorts of things, hang themselves up by nails. And it's a transcendence of the body and into a godlike feeling of joining the gods. So it's a very complicated path, but it's not a Buddhist path.
Yeah, so Shantideva said this all is like no reasons, right? Cuts and burns for no reason. No any result, good result. Thank you, Gail. So now we go to next one, 14. Okay, measure. So you can try this one. You want to try? 14 is easy.
Okay, hold on. There is nothing whatsoever that is not made easier through acquaintance. So if you're becoming acquainted with small harms, I should learn to patiently accept greater harms. I think this is being very just present and very mindful moment to moment with whatever agitations or hostilities or whatever it is that we perceive as harmful, just taking it on the path as, say, resting into it is the shamatha practice. And as we are just present with each thing, as little as it is, as larger things or more, potent, volatile things appear to us, it will be easier for us to experience them.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, Tom Waza, can you make that special words to explain? Same as the last time you did. This word also special too.
There is nothing whatsoever that's not made easier through acquaintance. Becoming acquainted with small harms. Well, I think that through being acquainted with adversity, no matter how old you are, could potentially, the person could maybe get like a little thicker skin to make it kind of simple. Just to not let it bother you, because there are just so many little things that could cause us harm, whether it's someone else's mind, our own mind, our body, that it's to our advantage to have a little bit thicker of a skin. And to coin a phrase that we used to use when we were younger, we used to say to each other sometimes.
What means acquaintances?
Well, I think he's not, the person that translated this isn't referring to acquaintance as that, like somebody that we know. They're using it as a like another purpose, being acquainted with suffering.
So actually,
Becoming familiar.
this is the
Familiar.
habituate.
Familiar.
Yeah.
Familiar and habituate.
Yes.
So then that's why it's easy. Yeah? Habituate, you know, familiarity. That is not made easier through familiarity. Habituate something. So everything's become easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we are something not used to, then we are not familiarity. It's not easy. No, anyway, it's always hard. So main point, if you practice patience, is become used to that, familiarity that, and then it's easy. So that's we just know. So like ordinary people, it's easy to influence by emotion. Practitioners easy to go into the practice. Use the suffering is used for practice.
And the note I made to myself is patience improves as your tolerance increases.
That's also very important words, because that's the reason we can practice the Dharma. If you are used to practice and your familiarity, you used to, then it's easy. So just think about your own job. Maybe you have a cooking jobs or cook, or you have just whatever you're doing jobs, like first beginner, hard, and used to ease. So when it's drive the car, it's like first it's like really hard, difficult, and used to it's just easy going, right? And same thing, like when you meditate first, it's hard, you are used to, it's easy. You practice patience, effort, generosity, whatever you're doing, these good things, also hard, difficulty first time. You become you are used to, it's easy.
Is it the same with anger?
Yeah, anger is like, say, like people used to anger is like then more anger.
But used to practicing patience with little amounts of anger, small amount of anger, get better at it. And then over time, maybe it's easier to deal with big anger.
Yes,
too.
yes, correct. Thank you. Yeah, that's why it says patience accept great harms. Okay, so now next one. Can you do the years next one? 14. Years. Oh, she cannot hear. Oh,
But
can you?
the mute, I had to take mute off. Now it's good. I will read it. 14. There is nothing whatsoever that is not made easier through acquaintance. So through becoming acquainted with small harms, I should learn patiently to accept greater harms. Oh, this is the wrong one.
Yeah, 15.
15. Yes, sorry. Who has not seen this to be so with trifling sufferings, such as the bites of snakes and insects, feelings of hunger and thirst, and with such minor things as rashes? So I think it's explaining 14 and saying that we have all seen this with trifling, which is like very small suffering. And the examples are when a snake bites you, or an insect, when you're hungry or you're thirsty. So you have some small scale sufferings, nothing like living with a really angry dad or mom. It's just little sufferings, or a minor thing like a rash. They all cause some suffering, right? And then if we can get acquainted with those, that means familiar, we can get used to it. We can practice with these small things to practice our patience and not respond in anger with an unhappy or unquiet mind. it's a good opportunity to practice with small suffering first.
Yes, thank you.
So, shouldn't it just say the bites of non-poisonous snakes, and with such minor things as non-death-like rashes or something?
Yes.
Rashes you can get from, like allergic to bees, you could die, So rashes, they can be a lethal symptom.
Just think poison ivy, Gail.
Oh, I almost died 1,000,000 times. Poison oak and ivy, that's my mortal enemy.
Something like just get hurt, but no die. That kind of suffering, yeah. Okay, so actually this, see, in the somewhere we already talked. All the farmers, fishing people, so much sacrifice, they get, that have practice, they have a passion to, doing these things, useless. So that is similar, these things. The point is the same. Do you remember another chapter we talk about that?
Yes.
The farmers, they do so hard works. Even their get benefit is so small, and only just they can get the food. So work so hard, so difficult, hardship through. So that kind of suffering. So same like this. Also we get so much suffering, but the result is very small. So now we are going to practice bodhicitta, and our goal is like Buddhahood, enlightenment, benefit many beings. So Shantideva said we need more courage and have to go through these difficulties, hardships. Okay, so next 16. Stand up, please, 16.
I should not be impatient with heat and cold, wind and rain, sickness, bondage, and beatings, for if I am, the harm they cause me will increase. This is so interesting. It's like, it's the benefit of keeping a positive mind, it's like you add suffering to the suffering. If you, if you focus on the pain you're having, if you talk about the pain you're having, all that kind of stuff, it just increases it. So I think being patient means sort of minimizing it, remembering it's going to end, focusing on something else.
Yes. That's also a good way to do, yes. Then finish.
Yeah.
More explain.
Well, I mean, if the minor things like the weather, just the way people complain about the weather, oh my gosh. But like, let's say you're suffering, like you have a physical pain. We kind of talked about that the other day, and you mentioned, and Garchen Rinpoche has also talked about like how you can, you can go into the pain, like you can actually focus really in a detailed way on it and try to find where it is, and it can sometimes, evaporate, like disappear. I mean, that's something you could do, but I mean, I just took it to be, don't add to your misery by focusing on the negative.
Yeah, it's like, so with you have a like heat and the cold, this sickness, like those like we needed to like practice patience with that, but those like we want that, not that case, right? But if something happening like this, so you must have to have some patience to take care of that part,
I don't know about the beatings part, like I used to get hit when I was a kid. and I wouldn't cry out just out of stubbornness.
Mm.
And I think I got hit more because of it.
Yeah, the thing is like we someone beat us like rather than anger than so we don't want to beat that is not someone beat us is like not easy, like we don't want that, but just some reasons happen that then you really upset, you get suffering, or you just change your mindset to something different ways, practice patience, which is good for us.
Yeah, because I wish I had this teaching when I was young. Like what you said, if you could have someone help you deal with your anger, show you the way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also like heat and the cold, something like during practice is like you just can go through that. Is like is use practice patience, and then this heat, cold, like these things not affected much. As people used to like just something like you just say, oh, I cannot do this, I cannot have it like that. Shantideva say you need strong. The main point when you practice Dharma, practice patience, need strong. So just like try a little bit, say no, I cannot. Then try another one, no, I cannot. So they never ever can success for anything.
I wrote down need courage. I think you said something about courage. Yeah.
Okay, so now as we go to 17, Amanda, please can you explain 17, read?
Yes, Khenpo. Some, when they see their own blood, become especially brave and steady, but some, when they see the blood of others, faint and fall unconscious. So you were telling us about how people used to fight with weapons, and if they saw their own blood, then they would have more courage, and they would really, I guess, muster up their courage to subdue their enemy. But then, so when we practice Dharma, we must fight our enemy, which is anger. We must have patience to be successful at subduing our anger. We must be courageous with a stable mind, to have strong patience, and to overcome all the emotions, but especially anger. When some see the blood of others, they faint and fall unconscious. So I think that just means you have to have that strong patience, stable.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, that's actually very following just together 16 and 17. This is really true. Like 17 is like, people who has courage or no courage can see the also not talking about the Dharma practitioner, strong patient, but just orderly people, who has courage, who don't have courage. Okay. So then we go to the next one. 18. David, can you read 18? David.
Can you hear me, Khenpo?
Yes.
Okay. This reaction comes from the mind. Be either steady or timid.
Yeah.
Therefore, I should disregard harm caused to me and not be affected by suffering. What you was mentioned this morning is that the reaction is coming from our own mind. Everything is created by us, really. And the most important is to have a stable mind or not really a stable mind. your mind is timid, you can not practice. We need to practice patience every time to have a stable mind, and then we won't be affected by small things or by somebody, because really everything is coming from our own mind. We create almost everything. I mean, that nobody can hurt us. It's just our own self that we are beating our head against the wall, you know. But we don't realize that. We think that it's the object. Well, really, it's our own mind producing everything. As soon as you change your mind, everything goes, and you will be happy.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so then anyone has comments? Everyone okay? So we need a strong mind anyway. These reactions come from the mind being either strict or timid. Therefore, I should disregard harms caused to me and not affected by suffering. So suffering cannot affect it for our mind. Emotion cannot affect our mind. That's good. So now we go to next one. EDG, please, 19.
Okay. Even when the wise are suffering, their minds remain very lucid and undefiled. For when war is being waged against the disturbing conceptions, much harm is caused at the times of battle. Wow. This is really a tough one, but the notes I don't know how to explain that by interpreting the reading. I just have to go to my notes on this one. So be patient when working through problems. You can win. You can win. You mentioned that a few times. Maintain your courage.
Yes.
And whatever occurs in your mind, try to not let it linger. Let it go. I think that's all I can say about that.
Okay. Good, thank
Khenpo,
Yes.
Khenpo, I have a question. Because it sounds so easy when everyone talking about like intellectually, oh, let it go or whatever. But practice-wise, it's not that easy. It's really not that easy. And I have a question about my own practice. Is when I was a child, I suffered a lot from my parents, my father's anger. I found out I actually have a lot of courage because I was so afraid of him, and because the fear of toward my parents, my father, and I was able to like climb up 6-story building through the water pipe to go to the kitchen because I forgot my key. And I worried that if my father found out, he would beat me up. So I just climbed the water pipe for 6 floors, and all the labor just watching and pointing at me and say, that little girl is crazy. She's climbing 6 stories. And I really found that because of that fear of him, it made me have other courage to do something most people didn't dare to do. But when I grew up, when I loved living with my father, I didn't have that fear with me daily. And I lost some of that courage. I don't know why. Like, because I don't have to obey of my father's anger, so I don't have to risk my life, almost like that. Why is that? The suffering make me have more courage than when I don't have suffering. I remember when I was in graduate school and I lost my key and my landlady trying to help me, and find a ladder, put it outside the house, and I can climb up to the second floor. I just felt that my leg was like zero. And I just really wonder why when I was a little girl, like in 4th grade or 5th grade, I was able to climb 6 stories. Why now I'm in graduate school, I'm much older, but when I come up the ladder, I was really like shaking. So it seems sometimes suffering gives you more courage than not suffering. I don't understand that. Can you tell me why?
You mean why suffering make you more strong, you mean?
Yes. When I was so afraid of my father's anger, I would risk my life climbing up 6-story building and go through the kitchen, climb the water pipe, and then I can go into the house. And then when my father come home, he will not find out I forgot my key at home.
So I didn't get that was a part. What is it that is, can you said
So
already, but, okay, 1 minute, Luna. I get
Okay.
the twice you said the same thing again, but I didn't understand like what is the marriage. Can you explain the last part?
She was saying when she was really afraid, she did things that required a lot of courage. But now that she's older and, may I say, wiser, she doesn't do those things that were so dangerous that although they were courageous, it took a lot of courage to do it. She now doesn't have the courage to do those physical acts of courage. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that what you were meaning? Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
So
I think you're just smarter.
Yeah, just that's the more smart. You are more mature become. You get more experience, you know, right? So you go through so many difficulties that give you so much experience. You get you learn so much samsara. So
yes, that's why I studied Dharma, because of that.
Yeah, so that's why you really wanted to Dharma and wanted to liberation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just like become suffering makes you change, suffering makes you strong, suffering makes you more wise. So here says, see, even when wise are suffering, means like suffering makes you more wise. Then,
but on the other hand, I really admire that little girl have that courage. It's not wise, but
the mind then remain very lucid and undefined. So long you have this all the experience, then suffering cannot affect it much. Yeah. So that's a happy thing for people. Then of course, like when you dealing with the suffering is dealing with anger emotions not easy. So Shantideva says, for when war is being waged against the disturbing conceptions, we fighting with the emotion. Much harm is caused at the times of battle. Is like really difficult place spot to fighting with our emotion. Yeah. So actually, you have questions, whatever you go through, just read that this section 19 is good for you.
Okay.
So then if you want more information, we need to find some commentary English. This section is I think you have really good information for that part.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lomeng.
I think this is the most. I think this is the most profound thing I've read of it. It is actually like you could write a book on this, just this one.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And it's more than just anger. It's all of it. It's the entire struggle to become a bodhisattva. Because it is a war. I always feel like my brain and my mind are in a war. And I just think this is just really says, it really sums up how, because, you know, we're not just, you know, the happiness and the joy that we're looking for is being a bodhisattva, it's bodhicitta 100% of the time. And I don't know, I just really think this shows that at every time and in every moment, that's what the courage is. You know, for every second fighting this. That's
Yes, David. Thank you, David Connor.
So what is the harm caused at the time of these battles? If that's if you don't control your emotions, is that the harm?
It's harm is like this. You have to go through hardship. See that with like fighting with your enemy, anger and emotions.
Oh, it's just telling you it's going to be difficult. Okay.
Yeah, that means like just difficulty.
You're destroying your ego.
So many so many obstacles and many problems. Like you have to go through that, through that. See, if you're going to fight with the ordinary enemies or enemy, and you go to war and you get hurt, you don't want to lose your better, and you just try to win. And if you cut your some part of body and you get the bullet go to your body, still you not just like go back, try to winner. So that kind of the problem go through that suffering. But in this one is like more than that. Means ordinary fighting with the enemy is nothing big deal comparing to fighting with the emotion. So now we're going to chant the dedication. I think we finish it there today.
Can I ask a quick question? Is verse 11 where we start verses on explaining how to meditate on patience? Is that where it starts? I missed that in my notes.
No, you mean the 11?
Yes, is that where we change over from abandoning anger to
the 11
learning
says
how to meditate?
We're going to meditate patient, and first recognize the object of attention.
Okay.
Khenpo, I think she was asking verses 1 through 10. I think originally you said were how to purify anger. And then moving forward, there were a number of verses on how to practice. Does 11 begin that practice?
Yes.
Okay. Was that your question, Lisa?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to do the dedication. Mao ngom zara sanje nangwan da ye se jo du je jen bo dang yon de sen ban de jen do nam lai sanje san sen ba min ko ji de che ngom zara ba de me ba ye de wa ji ji sa we jen gam de da yin de ne sen bu jir ma da je wa yin je bar ma ju bar Tere chine nande yandong yo deke dake molang tabande soje sanje sansen dangje je gemen rebar zinje labde so Tia da ben zangre ya awang bode na ye zo hai sancho semcho rumbo je Maji Bana Jijoroje, Jibanyamba Mebayan, Gone Gonde Pewario. Sonam Deya Tamje Zebanye, Donanye Bedana Banzete, Jigana Jebalan Trubaye, Seben Solen Drowa Drowarisho. Jambara Pave Chadaran Jembadan, Kenda Zambo Deyan Deyente. Te da genje jisa da lo jen ge wan de da dam je ra de ngo. Shi za genze genjin ji je je dem de ne la wan de di gong ba ren jen bar je dem ba sin de ba. Xie zhou de zang gong ben zin yor je. Thank you everyone. Good evening. See you tomorrow.
Oh.
Thank you so much,
Khenpo.
Khenpo.